Hopefully this works for streaming. It looks like the streaming is working.
Okay.
For our quarter moon. So it looks like we're starting a little late, but that's okay. Does anyone want to go through the positions?
Okay, who is going to facilitate?
That would be me.
Okay. Policy keeper, timekeeping.
Timekeeping, I'll help out with that.
I can do the policy keeping as well.
I can help with that too.
Storytelling.
Data. I'll do the video indexing.
I'm gonna do the priority work.
Master. Okay. Storytelling. Value tracking.
I'll do storytelling.
I'll do value tracking and
Where are the notes?
Okay, I can send you the notes. No, please.
I'm going there. Thank you.
Okay. We are done with the positions. I'm doing the attendance starting 5 minutes late.
Cool. So I don't know who is helping with the value tracking, but you could double check to make sure that the session is going on. It's on the Selenine Lunar Sessions calendar. Also, I don't actually see any positions. So it says at the top, quarter moon session, second quarter moon, third eighth moon, steering team, Tuesday 25th of August, 140 degree east. So that looks all good. We have late present. Okay, that works. I just needed to update. All right, so let's do check-ins. Who would like to start? Okay, I guess I can start. And who's helping with notes?
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Albina.
I am.
You're all right. So I am around a 2.4. And it's definitely been an overwhelming week and month. I'm pretty just like, I mean, the whole thing with the recruitment and trying to get new people in the training and just everything not coming together with much of anything. And it's just, we seem to be getting further from where we want to be. But we are moving the right direction, so hopefully everything works out. Also, if you're not talking, if you can mute, that'd be good. So, you know, overall, I'm just kind of overwhelmed and not in a great space and just trying to figure everything out and figure out why everything's not working. But we're just going to keep changing and keep evolving. I got a few proposals that hopefully will help us. And then we can get our recruitment round completed. I basically, at this point, I think we're probably going to be heading towards, I mean, obviously we're going to have soft stop for recruitment, but whether we're going to head towards like hard stop or upfront pay stop just means whether or not anyone's going to step up and actually do the work. So other than that, I've been, I did a session on the Fruition Collective and doing some of the other sessions and training for the activity team and the deputy position, and also we've had like 2, I think, VA sessions this week, so that was good. One with Zilu and one with Albina. So we did make a little progress there, and I think it was like the first 2 for the whole month. But there's still a lot more to go. Check. Who wants to check in next? Temetope?
I'm on about 3.5. I worked with Percy on business sessions, draft stuff, and scheduling for VA. We're not getting it right. For equipment, still yet to have a session with Jay on that. But generally, I've been looking at my trainings at schedules, but schedules have not been met. But nevertheless, I'll keep scheduling, and I hope one of these days everything gets resolved as soon as I want it to. Looking forward to today's section. Also looking to the seasonal sessions and the other activities for FQI. Check.
Gino?
Okay. I'm about 3. I haven't been working that much related because to FQN because my life priorities related to school is kind of tedious in a sense that it's even though I scheduled it the way I wanted to so that I have time to focus on FQN as well as studies, it seems that it's overlapping. But I'll try. Hopefully, I get it fixed soon because I didn't expect the class I took to be this complicated. I'm hoping that like at least for today or like for the rest of this week, I'll be able to follow from what I've proposed and check in during those times as well. Yeah, check. Also, it's 1 a.m. in my place.
All right. Albina?
I'm 3.5. I've not done much over the weekend. Had issues with my electricity, but I did update the decisions doc. I had updating on the strikes. Also did some onboarding. They've shown support on the 8 month, updating on the Google Calendar. Thank you.
Hanel?
Yes, I'm 2.5. I've been working in my tax form. I've been watching videos.
Albina, could you please mute?
I'm not clear.
We can hear Hanel.
But I'm not clear. I'm not clear. I mean, I have so many questions and so many things that I'm not clear with the position. So that's it.
Cool. Yeah, this is a great place to prioritize and ask questions. Mamoon.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In work last week or previous 2 weeks because of my sickness. Getting a bit well, but my family, I mean, my wife is not, she's also sick, not going out from home, and I already proposed a few session this week with the team. I can work almost full hour for this week or so. So look forward to prioritize my work so I can schedule with my team. Check.
Pressy?
Okay. I'm about 3. It's 1 a.m. in my place. I've been working with the tax form with Zillow, with overall step zero for the market taxes. Also with the session support and planetary support. Hopefully to looking forward for this.
All right, thanks for checking in. So let's go on to our linked notes. Do we have the notes linked?
Yes.
Attendance would be good. The comm groups for Discord could check on. And strikes, rankings, value tracking.
It's 11 p.m. right now.
Okay, so I'm just updating some of the comm groups here, and then someone is doing the strikes or the other things, or what?
Rankings will benefit the ranking.
Someone's doing the rankings?
Day from now. Will be now. Let's see. You know the kind of
What about Temetope?
It's great.
Yeah. Good.
Isn't Temetope here?
Yes, he is there.
I'm here.
And let's also be sure to add the notes to the
channel. Yes, I'm adding it to the channel already.
cool.
we don't know.
Also, we'll do the comm groups in Discord.
Oh, it looks like you already did
Oh.
add them. Great. All right.
Oh,
I
you
just
were-
did the
okay.
comm groups. That's what I just did.
Strikes. Zillow said would be within the first hour.
So for the ranking for the steering team, Hanal is not number 2, right? It's the steering team is based on the HR rankings. Or not the HR rankings, the recruitment rankings, which I don't think have been completed yet. And I don't think
The
anyone
quadrant
updated them.
ranking.
What?
The quadrant ranking, right?
No, the recruitment ranking. So half valuation, half pay rate. So that's would be the steering team member, etc. So I don't know if that has been completed yet, but well, I don't think it has been completed. Yeah. Anyway, so do we have the value tracking?
Yes. Albina, what time is it in your
Now 8:16 p.m.
What?
So the most important thing for the ranking would be the representatives, right? So this would be the quadrant representatives. And do we know who that is?
Albina first and Lolo.
What?
Jessica, Albina first and Lolo.
Okay, so which quadrant is Albina with?
For budget.
Americas.
So what quadrant what are we missing?
Jessica is Eurafrica, Tracy is Australia. For Pacific, then Mamon is Atlantic.
So your Africa, would that be Tame Tope?
Yeah.
So Tame Tope, you would be the backup for your Africa.
Yeah, yes, I'm aware. of that.
Okay, well, next time we should speak up. All right, so I think that is all done. Okay. And we did the value tracking? What?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to skip our evaluations and prioritization because we are on full freeze. And go on to our desired outcomes and topic reviews. So desired outcomes, topic reviews. This is where you prioritize topics. So for me, I have some proposals. We've got positions. We've got temporary budgets.
Can we check the recruitment, the next steps for recruitment?
Yes, we need to talk about recruitment. What did you say about recruitment?
Our remaining steps in recruitment.
I still don't understand. What about the recruitment?
Remaining steps on recruitment.
Well, we haven't done much of anything. Like, nothing's happened on recruitment. Like, nobody's doing the scheduling. I still don't think there's been a single recruitment session scheduled for 4 or 5 months. Like, it's really bad. So what's going to happen with recruitment is we're going to go into hard stop, and then it's going to be upfront pay stop. Those are the next steps of recruitment if no one schedules. Check. All right, what else do we need to talk about?
We had some proposals during the 8th month on 31st July. We can check on the voting form, maybe to certify the results. Alright. So we can
Are you
check
talking
on
about the series voting form that came out like a day or two ago?
Not really the series. Before the series, we had another one.
Okay,
We had some
so we're just
proposals
not
on voting
we're just not
like
doing our
before.
voting forms. Okay. So voting forms. I guess we could also do that part of proposals. But I'd like someone to just update the series voting form and use it for today. And put all of our proposals into one voting form. All right, anything else for our topics? So this is the time to bring up any priorities or questions or anything. Otherwise, you're basically saying you know how to do your position perfectly. You have no questions. Everything is going to be perfect. And you're going to get all the work done on time. And
Virtual executive sessions. I would want to know how the scheduling should go, because I discovered that I've been trying to schedule Canopy ended up being virtual executive sessions. So I'm a bit confused. When did Canopy merge with virtual assistant sessions? When did Canopy Green Team become virtual assistant sessions? I want to clear on it so that yeah. Then number two, the procedure for scheduling. I want to be clear about it. Well, do it right.
Okay, so it
Yeah,
sounds like you just have a question related to Canopy, which we just take care of at the beginning. The easy answer is just that a Canopy is an executive level work. And then scheduling, that sounds great. Those should be quick. Anything else? Mamoon, you saying something?
yeah, yeah. I would be which month is gonna be point. And one thing, the people are grouping up in the groups and waiting for budget or make their pop. Um, which month they are gonna be include. Also, the status updates for next round recruitment.
I definitely did not get that. Did anyone understand Mamoon?
Sorry, no.
Which month we are heading for right now?
We are in the 140-degree moon month. It's at the top of our
Okay.
notes. And this is the
Okay,
second week.
and,
We're going to the second week.
Okay, and I just need to know the status update for recruitment 140-degree. How far we went, or do we have the recruitment doc or recruitment round doc for 140-degree? So we can.
Okay, so the current quarter is the 80-degree east quarter. So we're still in the 80-degree east recruitment round. The moon month is 140-degree, but that is not applicable to the recruitment. And we'll go through the recruitment. We have the recruitment topic already.
Okay.
I also added the status update. We could just skip it, but it would be good to do our status update. So are there any other topics, desired outcomes?
Yes, I would like to know, please, what's the difference between BT section, BA session, and deputy position section? Sorry.
So I think that's related to scheduling. So the question is just a matter of like VA session, executive VA session, and the deputy position.
MBT,
A normal
body
BT.
team session.
Okay. And there's also a review session, so we could do all of those.
Yes, and in which one of those am I going to have my responsibilities and priorities?
Well, your responsibilities and priorities go into all of them. The question is, what type of priority responsibility do you have, and then that would determine the type of session. So we'll go over that. Any other questions or priorities that we
Are we
want?
going over the positions?
What do you mean? There's a positions proposal. Oh, actually going through them all? Yeah, well, that would be technically part of recruitment. So, current positions and rankings.
And one thing, Jay,
Mhm.
I saw there was a message you have sent in the Discord about deputy position regarding recruitment. So I just need to know the position and is this the position we are hiring for the next round?
So what topic would that be again?
Recruitment.
But what's the topic? We already have recruitment.
Deputy position. Yeah, deputy.
Well, we'll just go over
deputy
current
position.
positions. Okay.
Okay.
Sweet. All right. So I think we're ready. Are there any other topics, desired outcomes? So we have a quick canopy question, team scheduling steps, and questions on what type of session to schedule. Let's go pretty quick. Proposals. We've got a bunch of proposals that we can go through. We got a bunch of stuff on recruitment, including our current positions and knowing what positions are vacant, so that we can get them filled, and our status update.
Sorry, VA policy. I couldn't find them.
You're talking about the
VA
executive
policy.
VA policies.
Yes, I couldn't find them in
So we just need to link
the
the buddy
documents
team.
that I have.
We just need to link the buddy team policies, right?
All right.
All right. Cool. All right. Any other topics or questions, issues, anything? All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to get through, so this could last a few hours, but it's definitely important.
We are on the bottom of an hour. Let's do our 30-second stretch. Okay, let's do stretch.
It's 11:30.
Okay, is anyone helping with the notes?
What was that, Jay? Sorry?
Is anyone helping with the notes? Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. All right. So remind you guys always to update the table of contents when you're able to. So the first is the canopy questions. Canopy question. So do you want to ask the question again, or does someone want to write it down, or? I think it was from Temetope.
Okay.
Okay, you're on mute.
Okay, I should raise my question again. Okay, so what I was. Hello, Abina. Are you saying I should raise the question again?
What was the question on canopy?
Okay, what I was saying was that canopy and VA executive VA session. Jay has already tried to explain that canopy is executive VA session. So the next question should be, or the next answer I'm looking at is, how do I, as a person, schedule for executive VA session? One. Then how do I prioritize for that session, or how should I focus for that session? That's my question.
Cool. So those are good questions. There's actually two questions there. So the first question is about scheduling. And just, I think there's actually a pre-question that we already answered that we'll just say and answer again. So the role of a Canopy worker is executive work because it's high level, assets management, all that. It's just automatically at the executive level at this time. So what that means is that everything's interconnected, right? So our assets are intertwined with our budgets, intertwined with all of our, planning and our, finances and our taxes and, everything else, like the recruitment. Like if we don't recruit people, we don't have people to work on Canopy, then we can't do Canopy, right? So it's just like everything is intertwined together at the highest levels of the executive level. So it's very hard to pull and separate out Canopy as its own separate thing. Maybe one day we will be able to do that and get Canopy self-sufficient and functioning outside of the executive realm, or at least have certain parts of it that are not executive level. But for now, it's executive level, and the key component of the criteria for executive for Canopy check-ins, work check-ins, is to know what is preventing us from focusing in getting the Canopy work done, right? So that question is where we get into the executive VA session. So if we can't focus on Canopy immediately, then we go into the executive team and the executive VA session, and then scheduling the executive VA session is pretty much the same as scheduling the Canopy session, but the focus is different. So anytime you're scheduling a VA session, there has to be a focus. In fact, we just went over this with Pressy. So Pressy, could you copy and paste the policies that have to do with this question related to scheduling VA session, having a clear focus for the VA session, regardless whether it's executive? So the difference between an executive VA session and a normal VA session is simply that an executive VA session is even more strict and more high level because it has to meet all of the criteria and be very organized. Otherwise, it's not an executive VA session, right? So in the context of the focus, it can be a general executive VA session, right? Or a general VA session, or it can focus on a specific, JLN support, or, executive planning, or executive level, other executive level work. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of the scheduling. And we'll put here we go. And the policy for scheduling is the VA session must be scheduled with a clear focus to work on together. So that's what the focus is. And you can see some of the options for VA sessions related to the scheduling doc, or the scheduling spreadsheet. So we can link the scheduling spreadsheet.
Scheduling?
The scheduling spreadsheet has the list of all of the different priority VA sessions.
So if I want to know about my responsibilities and priorities, would I be scheduling a deputy position session?
There's no such thing as a deputy position session, but we're going to cover that in the next topic, which is the scheduling.
Okay.
So right now we're talking about the Canopy.
Okay.
Cool. So, are there any other questions about specifically the executive VA scheduling in relationship to Canopy, or should we go on to the other question, which is preparing for that session? Tamitope, are you good, or? All right. Well, we'll just go on to the next question. So the only thing I can say about preparing for that session is that when you need to follow any basic VA policies and then go up to the highest level of executive VA policies, and you just need to know that when you come there, the focus is helping the executive. Otherwise, it's not a virtual assistant executive session. It would just be a review session or a normal buddy team session. We can go into that later. But in the context of being prepared for it, the only policy really is to make sure that you have work, that's self-driven work that you can do during the session. Otherwise, you're not able to. You just be waiting around when you're just waiting around for me to do the work that I'm doing. If I have to focus on work that I can't train you on. When we're working together, a lot of executive level VA sessions are going to be more of like apprenticeship and support and watching and that kind of stuff. So all of that is covered in stage 6 training at this point, but in the hyper training and things like that. So are there any other questions on Canopy and Canopy executive VA sessions or Canopy or executive VA sessions or preparing for the session or doing the session?
So, Jay, if I get you correctly now, presently, whatever we are scheduling for Canopy, we are not scheduling for Canopy, we are scheduling for VA session. So until whatever is hindering the Canopy, it's removed, we are not talking about Canopy scheduling for now, if I get you correctly.
The point is that is Canopy schedule.
Okay.
So all we have to do to focus on Canopy is just to make sure that the priorities that are in the way of doing the Canopy work are addressed, right? So for example, if we had done more than 2 VA sessions in the last month, right? And we actually did the required VA sessions that are supposed to be scheduled that we're paying thousands of dollars for, just actually doing the work instead of not doing it, we would easily be able to focus on Canopy. Because we would have gotten all the other work done, right? So the whole idea that we're not able to focus on Canopy right now is because we're so backed up with all this other work that we've tried to assign to people, but no one's doing the work. So it's like it just backs up and it affects the executive level because I'm doing most of it on my own. And so it's just like we have to deal with that. We can't not deal with it, right? There's no way I can focus on Canopy when there's a half dozen other things that are just in the way.
Okay.
Remember, and again, it doesn't help to do an hour of Canopy work. Doing an hour of Canopy work is totally pointless, right? Like Canopy will not be helpful or successful unless we do hundreds of hours, if not 1,000 hours. I mean, it takes lots and lots of work to get Canopy functional, right? So that's the focus, is how do we do hundreds of hours of Canopy work? And the number one problem right now is recruitment, and then we don't even have enough people. Our number one person we recruited, Usman, quit, right, and didn't even start. So it's like, it's great to want to focus on Canopy for an hour, but it doesn't help because if you only do that once a week and we don't have anyone else doing it, it's just not going to help, right? We need to actually complete the setup and do the recruitment and do the organizing and deal with other issues, whether it's taxes or finances or bills or whatever needs to be dealt with, so that we can focus on Canopy. We're pretty close, but we're just not there. All right, any other questions related to Canopy, or do we answer them all? Cool. And I would say that we could easily get focused on Canopy in less than 10 hours, 4, 5, 6 hours maximum of work, maybe less. It just depends on whether anyone steps up and does the work and whether it's all organized. I mean, right now things are kind of a mess. All right, so let's go into the next topic, which is team scheduling. So I think the question on this is pretty clear. I mean, can we link the team scheduling steps as well? So are there any question on the team scheduling steps themselves, like how to schedule, do team scheduling?
Not really.
Okay, so let's just go over these. So when you have a review session, you schedule a review session to review buddy teamwork, self-driven work, or any other work that is completed, that has some type of output, right? Right, so basically a review session requires work to have been completed. Does that make sense? Or not necessarily
Yes.
completed, but have
Could
been.
you please tell me where's the document? Sorry, I think I am in the wrong document.
Um,
You click on the link I just put on the notes, you'll get to the steps.
the scheduling, we're not going over the scheduling steps, we're going over the vocabulary for a review session.
Okay.
Also, this could go into our glossary of terms, right? So index into glossary of terms for whatever, right? So we need to be doing our glossary of terms. Like, I don't think that it's getting handled correctly. All right, so are there any questions about a review session? So the next one is a normal buddy team session. So this would be focused on a specific responsibility or work that is done by one or more workers up to 3. Does that make sense in terms of, so this either has, this would be in our buddy team policies doc. If we want to review the buddy team policies doc, we can, but basically there's 4 or 5 different types of positions.
It's 11:45.
But basically you have, a dual buddy team, or where you guys are, or dual position where you guys are both working on the same responsibility, and then there's also a buddy team where you guys are working on separate responsibilities that are related, or there's also where basically you're doing self-driven responsibilities but in the same buddy team, so you're working on responsibilities that are not related to each other, right? But the point is that the normal buddy team session is just you have to have a clear focused work that you're working on. A review session is the same. You still need to have clear work that you're focusing on, but you're not necessarily doing work during a review session. You're reviewing the work that was already done. Right?
Okay.
All right. So any questions about the normal? So a VA session and VA session policies are focused on normal administrative worker. It could even be, personal level if needed, but basically you're looking at just like virtual assistant work, which is supporting the administrator or the or one worker, and the other worker does not typically have any responsibilities. Right? So when you go to a VA session, there's not really a responsibility, so it's more of like an apprenticeship.
Okay.
Where you're supporting and helping the person who's doing the work, right? They're the one doing the work and you're helping and supporting them do the work, right?
Okay.
After many VA sessions, you can learn how to do it yourself through watching and learning. So the executive level VA session is very specific. So executive VA session is specifically focused on executive level work. So for example, Canopy or executive planning, or you know, treasurer work or something like that, like money organizing, right? So it's just, it has to be some type of executive level work that is right. This would also be activity work, right? I think would also relate to this, right? So you know, you can have a general executive VA session, you can have a general VA session, but you can also have executive VA sessions with specific focuses. And the same thing can be true of the VA session or like an administrative VA session or whatever. So
Okay.
does that sort of help make sense? I mean,
Yes.
yeah, okay, cool. Are there any other questions related to the types of VA sessions? And maybe you could also just index this in the policies, like index to policies related to buddy teams and types of positions. So any other question related to team scheduling steps? Team scheduling? All right. Cool. So if you guys have more questions, just feel free to ask. Overall, it's just scheduling is scheduling. You just need to have a clear focus to the actual schedule, because without that, it's just can be a problem, because then you don't know what you're focusing on. So the key of full freeze, and just so you guys know, once you hit level 4, you can schedule regularly scheduled buddy teams that do not have a focus, right? As long as we're not on full freeze or whatever, right? So when you schedule a regularly scheduled buddy team, it's similar to a regularly scheduled Skype check-in or text check-in on Discord, except that instead of doing it through text, you do it in an actual main buddy in a buddy team. And then during the buddy team, the beginning of the buddy team, you're getting organized, you're getting all your priorities set so that you're clear on what you're working on for that buddy team session, right? But when we're on full freeze and we have so many priorities and the work's not getting done, we need to know exactly what we're working on before we get into the hangout and the buddy team session. Because what happens is if people don't know what they're working on, then they can spend hours and hours and hours doing nothing because they have no focus. They have no actual work that they're doing.
So if I want to have an executive VA session where we can discuss about my priorities,
that would
and
not be an executive
responsibility?
VA session. That is exactly the opposite of an executive VA session.
Okay.
Right? So the whole idea of an executive VA session is for you to support the executive, right? So if you want to have a session, if you want to have a session where we talk about your priorities and responsibilities and supporting you as the worker, that's not an executive VA session, period. It's not even a VA session. It's not a VA session at all. Do you understand?
Yes, but
right? That would be
according to my deputy position, my work is to support you.
That would be a VA session, yeah. But if you want to go through your responsibilities and get help with your work, that would just be either a review session or a normal buddy team session.
Okay.
And that can just be done with the normal Jello team, and anyone can help you with it, including myself, and we can all help you with the responsibilities and your work and getting organized and all that. But again, that's not a VA session, because we're focused on you as a worker and supporting you as a worker, and not focused on me as the executive, right? It's just the opposite.
So what will it be to support you? What session will it be?
Well, that would be a VA session or an executive VA session or a JLN support session. I mean, those are the three main ones, but it can also have a specific focus, whether it's Canopy or finances or activity team, whatever. It just depends on what we want to focus on. Executive planning.
Okay.
And you can also look at all the other priorities in the priority scheduling.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions on the team scheduling steps?
So,
And the
Jay,
vocabulary?
if I want to schedule with you now, so you ask what's the focus of the executive session? I say GLN. And what is
You
the
say what?
priority? And I say recruitment.
Yeah, so
Does it-
recruitment's not an executive VA session at all.
Okay. Okay. So I'm saying taxes. I'm
It's
saying
not even a
basic
VA
needs
session,
and
yeah.
wellness. Basic needs and wellness. Payroll. Quarterly budgets. Are they all priorities under a GNF session support session?
Under what session?
Under an executive session?
No, some of those are just normal VA. So there is some VA recruitment work, right? It's minor, but overall the primary recruitment work is just training and making sure everyone knows how to do. There's nothing related to recruitment that I need to do. The only reason I do recruitment is because no one else does it. Right?
Okay.
No, and of course people are doing stage 3 and doing stage 4 and helping with the budget, but we're just way behind on that. Like we haven't updated the budget for many weeks. We haven't updated the rankings. Like I don't think Canal or even Pavan, or there's at least 3 or 4 people who are stage 3 or stage 4. No one, they just basically were all being ignored, and they're just sitting there and no one's talking to them and no one's communicating with them, right? So our recruitment is horrible. Right? So we're not talking basically and updating rankings on a daily basis to basically support the workers who are applying into their positions, then we're letting them down. And they're just sitting around. They're not going to work with us. They're going to go work for someone else, the next person who comes by and offers them work, right? So people just can't wait weeks and weeks and weeks. That's just not how it works. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that recruitment is not executive VA work ever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have a question whether something is executive work, whether it's some other work, just ask. But we can always do general VA work. So the difference between so let's say we have a VA session, right? And then there's every VA session has a specific focus, and you can also focus on general. So a general VA or executive VA is basically focusing on whatever the administrator or executive needs at that time. Right? So instead of focusing on a specific outcome, which is really important, the general VA work would just be dealing with whatever needs to be addressed at the time. Okay?
Yeah.
Right? So but we need to be doing is focusing on the actual work. So if we only did general VA sessions, that wouldn't be helpful either, because we have to do more than what is just dealing with at the time. We have to be thinking ahead. Otherwise, we're not going to be organized. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
All right. Anything else on scheduling, team scheduling steps, executive?
Does JLN support an executive VA work?
No. No, JLN support is really, I mean, it includes executive VA work, because JLN support is what we do with everything related to the work that I do. So JLN support includes the executive level, the administrative level, worker level, as well as personal things that get in the way. So think about it like in the canopy work. It's whatever's getting in the way of doing canopy work needs to be addressed, right? JLN is even broader. It's like anything that's getting in the way of me being able to do the essential work for the entire network needs to be addressed, right? So JLN support is broader and is kind of the only place that overlaps some of the personal side, the personal assistant work and the worker assistant work. So that is definitely important, because there's nowhere else that kind of things are going to get dealt with. But again, a JLN is a type of work. So under a VA session, a JLN would be a type of VA session. JLN support, right? Would be a type of VA session. And it can expand into executive VA session, but it's really, the executive VA session is slightly higher level and different than JLN support. Because JLN support's very, very broad, and it's a little of everything. right? So it doesn't necessarily include executive level work most of the time. Also, you can do planning. I mean, basically everything's planning, right? You can do planning for anything and everything, right? Executive level planning is the highest level of planning and organizing.
I see.
The only thing higher than executive level planning would be plasma and staffing, where you're actually organizing and supporting decision makers that are even higher level than executive level, which would include boards and councils and membership and ownership and shareholders, etc., etc. Okay?
All right.
But all that's related to executive anyways, because those are executive roles, right? So if you are a Plasmo commissioner, oh no, yeah, I think Plasma is a commissioner role, right? Accountability commissioner. So if you're an accountability commissioner or you're a staffing, you have a staff role to a decision making body, those are executive positions, and that is executive work, right? So if we're doing that, working on that together, we're both working at the executive level. But again, most of the work, like I would say 90% of the work is not executive level. For example, like taxes. Taxes is an executive recruitment, not executive, right? ORC in general and anything and everything part of ORC and all the outreach and recruitment, none of that's executive work, right? There's very little, if any of that, that is executive. Maybe a little bit on the highest level of planning, but it's just minor. Session support, not executive. Planetary sessions, not executive, right? So there's really very little that gets on the executive role, and one of the problems with the executive roles is that we just don't really have any other executives because no one really steps up into those roles. There's been some interest, but no one really actually does it. So that means that the VA sessions are even more important because that I can't do all the executive work on my own. It's just impossible, right? So somebody needs to at least be
It's
there
real
to
but
do
long.
VA work for it so that it can move forward. All right. Any other questions? But even though there's not a lot of executive VA work, it's still super essentially important. Like we have to make sure the executive level work is getting completed and getting done, and we have to deal with the staffing and the accountability. All of that must be done. Like if that doesn't happen, everything else falls apart. Like there's no possible way to move everything forward without getting the minimal executive work, even though it's like a fraction of the total amount of work that's getting done. It is essential work, and if we don't do it, everything else falls apart, right? So, and that includes all of our full freeze and our planning and our structures and our organizational priority. All of that is all executive level. Super duper important. All right. Any other last questions before we move on? Team scheduling, vocabulary for scheduling.
We are at the top of the hour. 5 minutes break.
Yeah, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then when we get back from the 5-minute break, we're gonna talk about proposals.
Okay.
Yes, we have lots of proposals, so we'll be going through proposals for a while. If anyone wants to copy and paste the proposals onto the doc, that's also helpful. 5-minute break.
It's been 5 minutes. Is everyone back?
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Tamatope, Hanal, are you guys here? Albina?
Back.
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I had the mute.
Okay. Jay?
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So are you ready to go through these proposals?
Okay.
So the first proposal is basically that everyone needs to take on a team coordinator position. Everyone must take on a team coordinator position, and that the steering team itself is for oversight and budgetary decision making. So the steering team has power, but and I'm also proposing that we move the steering team to be every 1.5 months instead of every 2 weeks. That proposal didn't pass, but either way, whether it's every 2 weeks or every 1.5 months, the steering team doesn't really do much. Also, we don't have functional quadrant teams. Like eventually we're going to hire someone into the quadrant team organizing position because every single quadrant will have its own budget. But right now we don't have that, and we can't do that because our finances are unstabilized. And we don't have a stable budget. So eventually someday we'll hire people to be the quadrant representatives, but the quadrant representative itself wouldn't be a budgeted position. The budgeted position is running the quadrant team. So there would be a weekly quadrant meeting or a monthly quadrant meeting for the membership of the quadrant, and then that would bring everyone together and you make decisions and organize and coordinate and have your own budget and everything for each quadrant, right? So that's the goal, but that's just not happening right now. So the quadrant representatives and the steering team aren't doing anything except for oversight and decision making, which isn't very helpful, especially in relationship to our recruitment. So the proposal is that the quadrant representatives would that the quadrant representatives must take on an additional position heading up one of the team branches, and that they get first choice the position they want to choose, and that it does take commitment, you know, of about what 5 hours per week or something like that to do the steering team position. But what this would mean if we pass it, the steering team in and of itself would not be a budgeted position. So are there any questions about the proposal? Does everyone understand the proposal, or are there any concerns about the proposal? So if we do pass this proposal, when we go through the current positions, everyone would need to take on a position that's a budgeted position if they want to get paid, and then anyone who doesn't take on a position would automatically go into the inactive budget. All right, are there any objections?
No.
All right, so I think we have consensus on this. So we had 2 proposals. I think they were all approved and passed already, but let's just go through them real quick. There also may be other people. Let me just quickly check to see if anyone else is applying. Oh my god. So it looks like we do have some other people. Nathalie. Oh my god. So for Nathalie, I believe this is
It's
in
12:15.
relationship to I don't know, it's not really clear. I think it's Canopy, but I don't know. So I think that's the only other one that's really applicable, and she was 512. All right, so let's just go through these real quick. Again, it's just hiring people into the position, into the recruitment round. So they get paid to do the recruitment round. So are there any questions about hiring Maria from Workana for $7.30 an hour to work on the rest of the recruitment round towards Yellow Team Canopy from Brazil? Any questions?
No.
None from me.
All right, any, oops. Are there any concerns?
No concerns.
Are there any objections? Okay, so it looks like you have consensus there. So the next one is Oluwafiaso from Nigeria. So this is, are there any questions about the proposal for Oluwafiaso from Wakanda, $5 an hour?
No.
Are there any concerns? Are there any objections?
None.
Okay, so I think we're on that one. Okay, so then the last one is Nathalie from Orkana, Uruguay. So this would be questions. Are there concerns? None, and objections. Okay, so I think we have consensus on all of those. So before we get into this, I think that's a new policy on POPs that I want to go over real quick. That should be really quick and super duper important. So where is this proposal? Each person must list the positions that they're applying for on their POP. So this is a policy proposal, and it relates to getting organized in relationship to the position. So it seems that a lot of the people applying were not on their POP. It's not clear what positions they're applying for, and then they get lost in the recruitment process. So if no one applies for a specific position, then it's automatically just general steering team. But now that we're taking away the budget for the general steering team, people need to say what specific position they're going for. I mean, I think they can propose to be a general worker, so we can have a general worker, which is our old position, still applicable. Similar to Canopy. I mean, Canopy, we have a general worker position, although we're creating a new Canopy deputy coordinator position or deputy manager position. So within Canopy, which would be like the Canopy number 2, but in terms of just the overall general worker, I think it's still applicable. We just aren't necessarily prioritizing that position. So again, everybody on their POP would just add the position that they're or positions that they're applying for.
Okay.
You need me? Are there any questions about the proposal?
No.
Are there any concerns? Are there any objections?
Position.
All right, so also a couple things here. One is that for all these decisions that we're making, we now have the decisions channel. So we need to copy and paste all decisions onto the decisions channel for Discord. So that'll can help us. And then they go into the decisions doc from there. And the other thing is we need to add the new POP criteria to the POP review responsibility. Okay. So can someone do that? Can someone take on those tasks?
Yeah.
Albina, you're gonna do both of them?
Yes.
Thank you. And we can give Albina some points in the value tracking for taking on the tasks. Okay, moving on, certifying the votes. So this Albina, is this you or who's doing the certification?
Yes, I'm just almost completing on testing the proposals. So we can go through the proposals. We had 8 proposals during the 8th month on 31st July. And we voted on the proposals. These are the proposals we had. The first proposal was to cut various programs and bring team under general steering team budget. with 7.55 average passes. The second proposal was to cancel the virtual organizing team meeting, which already we cut, so it passed with 7.66. Third proposal was to review and reduce hours for only prioritized and essential client and output work. 7.11 passes. Proposal 4 was to update quarterly budget mid-quarter to estimate a total of $30,000 to $35,000 of assets for Jurisan, Endo budget, and FQN budget FQN workers organization. 7.44%. Then to further simplify the cutting work for stage 5 and 6, it passed with a 7.77. So the proposal 6 was to prioritize bills and cutting and slash everything we can to save funds. Need to cut bills in a half. It passed with 7.5. Proposal 7 was to step back from the HEM partnership, possibly cutting the budget in a half, but only if they are documented maximum 300 more for HEM partnership unless a new agreement is made. 7.78. It passed. Then the last one was the guideline to encourage everyone to cut their pay up to a half. There certainly is. Otherwise, everyone will be fired already, or at least half of us not required. It passed with 7.11. Those were the proposals we had before.
Okay.
The one for done yet. Actually, President the former was just the only one who voted on it. So we need to update all the proposals on the form before we send it out.
Wait, I thought, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the certification? You're talking about something else?
So those are the proposals. So the proposal to certify the results from the 8 proposals. Any questions? Any concern?
No?
Objection?
No objections.
Consensus.
So, sorry, Abina. There's the proposal to cut down work hours to cut down work hours. I'm just thinking, review and reduce hours for only priority and essential clients and work. Is it not going to be a platform for people to decide not to do work? Would it not encourage people to run away from responsibility, all in the name of trying to reduce hours of work? Just thinking.
I mean, I think overall it's optional because people have to do it under their own. But also we're also cutting back on just random work, like, you know, for example, the steering team or whatever, and so we're going to try to get people focused on the specific priority work that needs to get done for the team. So that should help focus on the actual output and the client work. But we need to increase our income. Like, the client work has to do with increasing our income. So if we're not doing client work and we're not actually bringing in funds, then we can't pay the budget. And we're still taking loans and everything, right? So does that make sense? Or?
And also on the cutting and prioritizing on work, like we have so many main sessions. We really added so many sessions. So instead of joining the session, like main sessions, we just pick main sessions you are going to maybe join. Because at least we have like 3 a week now. We used to have few sessions, main sessions. So For me, it's just a suggestion that we just pick the main sessions you attend, not all of them. Maybe that can help. From even on my side, I can say maybe on the main sessions, I'm going to cut on the main sessions. I'll be just attending some, not all of them.
I would advise that we focus too much on client work so that I always like where the money is. So I would advise that we focus much on client work so that money can come in. Because if you don't focus on client work, no matter how much we cut down on our priority sessions or priority work that we have, it will still not guarantee that money comes in. So what guarantees that money comes in for us to be able to take care of other things, for us to work on client work so that the money can come in and we can be able to take care of other things. But if the money doesn't come in, no matter how much we cut down on what we do, it really not solve the problem. The problem is increase the number of client work that money can come in.
Yeah. So just to give some examples here, recruitment, for example, is not income client work because we're recruiting for ourselves to get the work done, right? So we can't get the work done ourselves. We need to hire more people to get the work done. So I don't know if anyone noticed, but we're increasing our budget and we're spending more money on recruitment to try to get the work done because we want to prioritize getting work done since our budget's already in the red and we already aren't getting all the work done, which is costing us a lot of money. So the goal is to get the work done, and the focus is Canopy, where all the finances are and the asset management is, because if our finances are not stabilized, then we are going to continue to lose money, and then we're going to have to fire people, and it's not going to be good. So that's the focal point. From there, the second client work focal point is the taxes, right? And making sure all of our finances, AGC, is in order, because if that's not organized, then we have a huge problem. And that is client work. And then the last part that's client work is the planetary sessions. So planetary sessions are technically client work, and we're going to have a budget for that, and that would be part of session support. Also, staffing, Plasmo, and other various components of the network are client work. So there it just depends on what work we're looking at. But recruitment, we can't not do recruitment. We have to do recruitment. But it's just not, it doesn't really help anything else. It only helps ourselves. So it's like internal operations, like recruitment by definition, internal operations. But the Recruitment and Outreach Commission is also our fundraising branch. So I don't think people quite understand the role of the ORC. The ORC does job recruitment, right, for positions, but it also does, outreach, which includes all the outreach for volunteers, all the outreach for donors, and fundraising and collaboration and marketing and media and multimedia and social media. All of that is part of ORC. So once you start working on that side of it, you're actually looking at not only, client work, you're looking at direct income source of bringing in not only donors, sponsors, as well as possible investors. So the ORC is extremely important, and it needs to be prioritized, and not only just for normal recruitment, it also needs to be prioritized for our multimedia and our outreach related to both the normal, communications and all of our planetary sessions, but also for investors, donors, and sponsors and everything, because that's where we could actually bring in more money. Right? But anyways, it doesn't help to bring in a bunch of money if we don't organize the money and stabilize the money to make sure we're not just losing it, right? So that's why the asset management is primary. Then once your assets are all stabilized, then you can bring in more money, and then it'll be stable, right? So hopefully that kind of answers some of those questions, but overall the questions are difficult. I think we're leaving it up to individuals to reduce their own hours and their prioritized client work and output work, and we're also leaving it up to individuals to cut their hours and their pay, because we know each individual is in a different situation and what they're able to do. Yes, so yeah, but we don't even know how much money we have yet. So until Canopy gets in line, we get all of our funding organized, we do our quarterly budgeting and our quarterly accounting. then we'll need to update the entire budget. We need to see how much we're actually in the red. I mean, all this could take a month or two to get all of that completed. But once we have that completed, then we will start looking at reducing our budgets more significantly. But until we actually know how much money we have and how much we're in the red, it's very difficult to cut. And also, it doesn't look like anyone's taking any notes on any of this. So maybe that should be like a strike or something. I don't know. Check. Teme Tope, was there anything else?
Nothing. Nothing from my end. Just that information that I wanted to bring to our attention.
Coolio. So I think we have consensus on the certification. And overall, in that we cut the virtual organizing team, we cut some of the other Jello team budgets that don't have funds, and we'll go over that soon. And then from there, we went over our overall quarterly budget changes, so that's a pretty significant vote. But otherwise, this is all, as far as the individual level, it doesn't directly affect the individual level. All individual decisions right now are going to be made by the individual themselves if they want to change or update their funding. Also, for example, with payroll, we're going to go through the payroll, we're going to calculate the payroll correctly, but then it'll be up to each individual to agree on their payroll, which will change their rankings, and then they can always take less and have it go to back pay. So in the context of moving forward in the future, all cuts to individuals that are forced will happen within the budget and be decided by the HR board, right? So if we do any cuts or anyone gets fired, that'll all happen by the HR board. This is not the place. All right, is it clear? All right, so I think, and also we have not gotten to the point where we go to lowest budgets. Like right now, we're still in everyone's normal requested budget. But that is something that we can do. So before we have to start firing people, we can actually go to everyone's lowest budget to prevent firing anyone that's possible, to prevent firing if we need to do that. We haven't decided we need to do that, but we're not going to be able to even know until we finalize our all of our quarterly budgeting and our quarterly accounting and the canopy accounting and all that.
But I think we are doing the time budget based on the lowest for everyone. Are we doing even the requested? No.
No, everything is based on requested budget for all of our rankings and all of our budgeting. The only thing that's the time budget has nothing to do with your lowest, right? So right now what we do is it's based on the number of hours that you work. So if you work your lowest number of hours, you get paid your lowest. If you work your requested number of hours, you get paid your requested. That's how it works currently. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, so are there any questions on budgets, payroll, any of these other proposals? All right, so let's move on to the hemp partnership. So there should be a quick proposal. So as we know, before we voted to step back from the hemp partnership, possibly cutting the budget in half, and that we would want documented agreements, etc., etc. So a couple things come up here. One, that we still do not have a lot of the agreements. So what is still missing? Whoops. Let me just go ahead and copy and paste this into the notes. So we're still missing the mutual beneficial agreement. We're still missing agreements in writing and recorded, although this has been improved. See above. Been improved. See above. Although we still do not have this agreed upon by the hemp company yet. Business structures are not there. Public documentation, resource accountability are not there. The money at all, we just don't know where the money's coming from. So all of this is 100% in the red, right? So where is it? 1,000 all in red. In the red. Boom. So that's important to note. Being on the same page, not quite there yet, but getting better. Getting HR budget clear for Jeanette, also not there. Where are we now? Was not necessarily completely in agreement, but we got better. Right, but did get also Pressy was there at the session, which is good. All right, so the proposal for the hemp partnership would be basically cutting the budget in half and doing a temporary 2-month budget. So the original budget was $2,500 a month. This new budget would be $1,250 a month. It's still a lot of money. If you add all this total up, you get to $7,400, which is a 5 or 10% equity stake in the Ecolution hemp. And we're giving them the option to basically pay it back with a loan if they want to, that will just take the money back. So overall, what we have agreement on, there's 2 proposals. Here we go. Boom. Overall, what we have agreement on is the hemp partnership's current status is that we invested $4,900 into Ecolution hemp, which works out to a 3 to 6% equity stake with the option of equity loan payback, right? So the question is, is this good enough? And then the problem is simply that we still do not have documented agreement from the hemp company / Patrick, right? So obviously we need to get that before moving forward. This is required before anything moves forward. But we still want to vote on this and make sure that we are on the same page and that we agree with these stakes. So what does this not include? Also note this does not include all of the missing details below. All right, so are there any questions about the proposal? All right, are there any concerns about the proposal? Are there any objections? All right, so I think we have consensus there. So again, us having consensus isn't enough. They also have to agree to this proposal, and then go from there. All right. So the next proposal is moving forward, and this actually involves money, whereas the other one, it's just the money's already gone. So this is a short-term additional $2,500, $1,250 per month for 2 months. It's all in the red. We don't have this budgeted. So therefore it can affect our budgets. And that would increase the total to $7,400 from the existing $4,900, and bring up the total equity stake to 5 to 10%. And they would still be able to take out a loan and pay us back. So that's the proposal. Are there any questions about the proposal?
No.
Okay. So concerns, obviously, it can affect our budget, because it reduces our funds and availability. How it would affect our budget is unknown, right? So we don't know exactly how this would affect our budget or what would happen, but bottom line is that it's a lot of money. I mean, $7,400 on top of the additional $2,000 we got from the government that they were involved in. So the whole total would come out to $9,400. It's a massive amount of money. No one has ever invested in me or any of the work that I do or that we do ever anywhere close to that amount of money. I mean, we're talking like the most amount of money we ever got was like $2,000 to $3,000, right? So this is a lot of money. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to help because they're not doing all the things that are missing, including, all the agreements and the business structures. None of that's happening, right? So we could still come back and say we want more than just that to give them money, but the primary reason they're looking for this money is to actually move operational locations, which is difficult to say the least, and it's going to be hard for them to get their business set up without moving. Also, they're going to need almost twice as much money, if not 3 times as much money as this. So the actual proposal is like $5,000, $4,000, $3,000, $2,000, $1,000. All right, so that would be the actual proposal, and we can put in the 2,500. So so again, they need $10,000, but they're asking us for half of it, for $5,000, and so in the proposal we have the 2,500 because that's what because we cut our budgets in half. So let's note that still needs to be addressed. Yeah. So are there any other questions or concerns? And then we're going to go ahead and vote. And so the 0 option would be basically to require more documentation, business structures, etc., or commitment or something. And then I think it's helpful to note like what we're talking about in terms of money here. These are the only people we're paying in the United States right now. But if you think about money, so like $500 a month is equivalent to $5,000 per month. So if you're making like $500 a month wherever you are in the world, like in Asia, that would be equivalent in the United States of making $5,000 a month. So it's like a 1 to 10 relationship. So when they ask for $2,500, it's like asking for $250 in your money, right? So it's like for them it's not a lot of money.
It's 12:45.
But it's still a lot of money for us, right? So we don't need to think about it in terms of being a small amount of money, because it is a lot of money. But we need to just understand why they're asking for this large amount of money and why it's almost $10,000 now in total. And the reason is because in the United States it's just unridiculously expensive, and there's just nothing to do about that. So they're just not capable of asking for less money, because to ask for less money would be pointless. All right. So are there any other questions, or should we just go ahead and start voting?
Can I say that I don't understand a lot about it yet? So I don't know if I have to vote.
Well, yeah, no one's required to vote for sure.
Okay.
So it's just up to each person to decide how much they want to vote. Also, it's important to note that all these amounts would be halved. So this would be $250 per month. This would be $500 per month. This would be $750 per month, etc., right? All right. So Pressy, you voted? Is anyone? Tell me, Tope, are you voting? Are you done or?
I'm done with the voting.
Okay. Do you want to say what you voted?
I voted for 501 at 6.1.
Okay. Pressy, did you vote?
Yes, I voted.
Gino?
I voted yes for 500 or 250 per month. And I voted 5.5 for 500 per month and 5 for 750 per month. And 5 also for 1,000 per month.
Can you repeat what's this for again? Like this is for
An
the hemp,
investment.
right?
Yeah, this is an investment into the hemp partnership, which is the Ecolusion Hemp company. We can link all the company information if you guys want to. I think we sent it out by email. But basically, the company itself, they have a stockpile of all this hemp clothing that's already produced and made. It's just a matter of selling the clothing. So they have potentially, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of assets. The problem is that they're just not selling the assets because they are busy and dealing with other things and it just hasn't worked out and all these other issues. So in terms of us investing into it, we would help individuals regardless, just because we've been working with Patrick and Annette for a decade or whatever. But at some point we can only help out individuals and give out free money, so much. So we're way beyond that. I mean, we're basically, beyond the point at which we're giving out a lot of money for individuals, and it's more of like a business relationship in terms of actually, ideally getting some type of return or getting a loan back or whatever. We're not really trying to make money, but it's just like, ideally we would be supporting them. Our original budget was $30,000 for the year, but when we got all our funds cut in half, like we basically are looking at the overall budget being $10,000 to $15,000, right? So overall budget, if we actually did an overall budget of $10,000 to $15,000, we it's gonna affect our budget since our funds are cut in half, but we'll be able to survive, and that's a big chunk of all of our money, right? And the ideal is we would get some of that money back. But realistically, we never expected to only spend $5,000. We were always expecting to spend a lot more because we know how businesses operate, right? We were expecting to spend as much as $30,000 on supporting them over the course of the year. But obviously that's not possible anymore under the current financial circumstances. So does that answer your question, Gino, in terms of like the background and what's going on?
Yeah, somewhat.
Did you have any other question about it, or?
So if we invest in it higher, our budget would definitely go more lower as well, like more in the red, I mean.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So this would be an additional $2,500 in the red if we approve a budget proposal for $2,500, right? So, so the question is, do we want to give them any money? Do we want to give them some money? Do we want to require additional components of their business structures? I mean, for me, the biggest problem is that they just didn't do all the things that we were asking for and getting everything in writing, getting everything organized. Part of that, I think, is from the pandemic and just all the chaos and the looting. Like some of their business partners got looted in all of the the looting and the protests in the United States, and there was other issues in the pandemic on top of that. I mean, it's just not worked out well for them, which is why they're now moving, right? So they're actually uprooting their entire lives, including all of their business operations, and moving to a different state. So that is extremely expensive, and that's where all this money is going to, is primarily the costs of moving So it's a lot more expensive in a couple of months than it typically would be. Anyways, it still doesn't change the fact that they didn't do all of the the goals that we had set and the expectations that we would set. So these are all the missing expectations that they didn't do, which would have been essential in terms of actually meeting the goals of the partnership. Anyways, it looks like overall our interest as a team is sliding towards giving them some money to try to help them out, but we need to calculate it out and see where the averages all come in. So Gino, do you have any other questions or?
One last question is like, is hemp itself just partnered with us, or it's partnered with different organizations as well, or it's just us, just FQN?
Well, no, they're actually going and asking for money from other sources as well. We don't know any details of how that's working, but they're basically saying that they need $10,000 for moving to their new location, and there's no way we can. There's no way we could do $10,000. I mean, that's impossible. Like that would be like we have 30,000 to 35,000 of FQN money, and then there's an unknown amount of additional funds in relationship to Canopy and the other budgets that pay myself and the ownership and other programs that we have. So there's not a lot of money, right? But that it's not going to be any more than it's definitely less than $100,000. We lost half of all of our money, right? So at least we lost access to it. Ideally, we would get that money back, but in the meantime, we can't assume we're ever going to get it back. So what that means is that we, if we gave them $10,000 right now, it would be over 10% of our budget, of all of the money, right? Possibly as much as 20%. Like we couldn't afford that. There's just no way that we could take. We had a half of our budget cut, and then to cut another 20% would just be insane, right? We would have to either start firing people or we'd have to start taking massive pay cuts to do that. But $1,000, $2,500, we can that it's slide. We could probably slide by with that. And if it helped them out and it actually helped them get relocated, it might help us, because if we invest an additional $1,500, $2,500, $1,000 into this business, it might help them get stabilized so that they can bring in money and then pay us back, right? So it's in the bigger scheme of things, as long as they give us it all in writing and that we have a 5 to 10% equity stake in the business, and we're not asking for official contracts or anything, we're just asking for it to be in writing, right? So that it's in an email form and that there's actual documents that show that we have equity stake. This equity stake could be worth either getting all of our money back, or it could be even worth more than that, right? So, on our books, it's technically a asset. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is technically an asset that we have as potentially bringing funds in the future, as opposed to just being a complete and total loss. But there's just no guarantee. Any other questions?
That's all for me.
All right. Let's finish averaging these all out. Do this one. So it looks like we still need to average 2,000. So I'm working on that one. Are there any other ones that need to be averaged?
The hemp is their organization, or like their business is selling clothes. Am I correct?
Yes. Hemp clothes.
This is just like what I think of the situation is that would they the assets, would they actually sell as much or sell at least what according near their goals at least? in this during this time, specifically during the pandemic?
Sure, it's definitely possible to sell it. It's obviously makes it harder, but it's just trying to figure it all out. I mean, people still wear clothes even during the pandemic. So there were three options last time I talked with them. I think originally there was five options, but some of those got kind of cut away. So one is just in going to their new location, which happens to be Oklahoma. Like they have a whole network there and a whole possibility of bringing the funds. So this is one of the options that could really help bring in more funds and more money and sell more clothes. Right. The other two options is one, they actually invested in a field of hemp. So hemp got legalized in like 2 years ago in the United States, and so there's either 20 to 30 states that have legal hemp now. California not being one of them. So they think the hemp field itself is in Texas, and that is another possible project that could bring in a bunch of money. And then the third option is there's this business that's interested specifically in all their orange clothing. So for whatever reason, they like the orange clothing. So they were thinking about buying all of their orange clothing, which would result in potentially as much as $100,000 sale or more, right? So that just never happened, right? So none of these have happened. There are all these possibilities of where the money could come from or how things could work out. But again, I have no way to verify any of it. We could ask for verification if we wanted to, but overall, the obvious situation is that they have a difficult situation because of the pandemic, because of the looting, because of the political situation in the United States. Like all of it is difficult. And so there's no guarantee of anything. So any money we give, we should be prepared to lose that money and never get it back. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. So what I can see here is that if you start at the $500 level, and the 0 level is the lowest, and then $500 with 6,000 actually goes down a little bit, 5.6, and then it goes up. 1,500 is 5.9. 2,000 is 6.2, which is the highest. And then it goes down again, 5.6, and then 3.5 for 3,000. So $2,000 is by far the highest. So, we could look at intervals around that, but I think that we just go 2,000. So if we do $2,000, it would be $1,000 a month.
It's 1 o'clock.
So basically what we'd be agreeing to is $1,000. And then next month we could review it and say like, okay, do we want to give the second $1,000 or do we want to stop? I mean, technically we could stop, but we're basically budgeting $2,000 total. So it doesn't need to go in the budget, and that would be the proposal. 6.2 obviously is not enough, but we're going to vote on this again and we'll see what the agreement is and see how close we are to passing it and then going from there. All right, so are there any, so we're changing the proposal from $2,500 to $2,000 for 2 months. That would take the total to $6,400 instead of $7,400. And that would probably bring down the equity stake, to like 4 to 8% or something like that. I don't know the exact amount. Maybe it's like 4.5 to 8%. I don't know. Okay, so are there any questions about the new updated proposal? Are there any additional concerns from it obviously affecting our budget? And this affects our budget over the long term, medium to long term. So I'd say this is a medium to long term effect. It doesn't necessarily affect our short term budget. Okay, so let's go ahead and vote. So we've got myself, Pressy, Albina, Mamoon, and Gino. So you can vote the same as you voted before, or you can change it. I mean, basically, this is the vote on the actual proposal as opposed to the prioritization. And now, Temetope. So, Pressy, that would be a voting a 5 would be an abstention.
We
Does
are
that
on
make
top
sense?
of our.
Okay. Hanel, Mamoon, Gino, Temetope. And then Pressy, you're abstaining. Can you vote? Albina, can you vote? Temetope, Gino,
I
can you
did.
vote? No, you gotta vote verbally. We are communicating as people, not.
Okay, I voted yes 7.
Thank you. Pressy, Mamoon, Gino, Temetope. I'm voting a 6.6, which is a positive abstention. Albina, Hanel, Mamoon, Gino, Temetope.
For me, I vote 7.
Okay. Mamoon, Temetope, Pressy,
I
Gino.
voted 6 already.
All right, Temetope voted 6.
Voted 5.
Pressy votes 5, and
Abstain 5.
Hanel votes a 6. All right, so let's go ahead and average this all out and see what we get, and then we'll take a break.
And 4. Average is 6.1. 6.37.
6.37. All right. So this does not pass. So the next option would be going to the next highest level, which is 1500. And seeing if that passes. So, and then from there, we would just keep going, or could stop if we wanted to stop. So during the break, let's just have everyone vote, and this would be 1500, which would be $750 a month for 2 months. And then we would just go ahead and have everybody vote again and see where we end up. All right, and then we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and when we get back, we'll go over it, and then we'll finish up our whole section. All right. Anything else before break? All right, we're going on break.
5-minute break.
Okay.
And just so you guys know, it takes us 6.5 to pass, 6.5 or higher, so it was really close. Yeah, check. great. I'm back. You guys back?
I'm here. Is everyone back?
Yeah,
But
All right. So Mamoon, you're the only one who has not voted.
yeah, I will vote yes 7.
7. All right. So let's average this puppy dog out and see if we get any closer to agreement. If not, we'll figure out how we want to move forward. Also, this would just be for 1 month, so I get 6.6, yes. So that does pass. So basically, we agreed to do, we agreed to do, oh wow, it's Leanna. We agreed to do 1 month of this, and then we can always review for a second month. If we don't review, then we just do 2 months. All right.
Okay.
All right, coolio. So let's go on to other proposals. Are there any other proposals? All right, so recruitment.
I'll press the deadline for the recruitment deadlines.
Yeah, so recruitment, we have deadlines, we have steps and priorities. So maybe while you're checking out the deadlines, we can go over the steps and priorities.
Okay.
So me and Lulu did go over a lot of those steps and priorities, but basically what we have is, updating and posting positions, getting all priority positions filled, and there is the evaluations, rankings, elections, budget updates, communications and follow-up, right? We actually need to be communicating with people, which we're currently not, so that they know what's going on.
It's 1:15.
So, any other questions about the steps and priorities? So let's go ahead and link our do we have it here? Oh, here we go. The 8. Oh, that's the job posting description. We need the link to the 80-degree process. It's gotta be here somewhere. I think this is, nope, nope. All right, here it is.
Did you get it? To link it.
So 80-degree east recruitment process. So here's the link to the process, which has all our positions and everything on it. So we can go through that. All right, so we have the deadline. So the deadline for soft stop is full moon, which is the 2nd of September. So that's in 3 weeks from now. The hard stop is new moon, which is, which should be 1 week from now.
It should be a week from now.
So the stop for the full moon is a week from now, and then the new moon, it should be 3 weeks from now. So what's going on here? All right, can we go ahead and link the Gregorian to Selene dates? Can we link that real quick? We can take a look at the moon months. Say what? Yeah. The Gregorian to Selene dates, and we could take a look at why this is so weird. So do we have a leap year? Do we have a leap quarter at all? Did anyone check to see if we had a leap quarter, or do we need to check that? Or they happen every 2.5 years. So the next.
We don't have.
So currently we're in the 80-degree east quarter, which is the 80-degree east moon month, the 83-degree east west moon month, and the 140-degree east moon month, right? So that means the end of the quarter is the 15-degree east moon month, right? So if we go to, this would be September, October. Go September, October 2020. It is September 2nd is the full moon. September 17th is the new moon. But the new moon starts August 19th. So the new moon is August 19th, and that should be, oh no, that's the 140-degree east. So maybe you guys did this all wrong. I don't know what's going on here, but it's saying that the 140-degree east, which is the moon month that we're currently in, is August, September. So it looks like all the calculations are wrong. Like you guys should actually, yeah. So let's go back to something we do know. Do we know for sure that June, July, August. Do we know for sure like when the 80-degree east moon month was?
In July. It's the 80-degree moon month. The quarter that we have, the first month of the quarter.
Okay, so if we go to June, it says June 21st is the new moon. Was that correct or not? So this is definitely somewhere where Zilu can help us a lot on our scheduling and calendar, and this is also somewhere we're doing reviews, and actually scheduling would help a lot as opposed to never communicating, never scheduling, and never prioritizing it. So whoever's doing calendars and scheduling, like, and you're never prioritizing it, you're never asking for any help, you're never scheduling anything, so it's like, it looks like there is a problem. Do you guys see the problem or not?
Yes.
So do we need to link the spreadsheet and go over the Selene calendar now or what?
spreadsheet.
Do we need to link the spreadsheet and go over the Selenium calendar now or not?
The Celine month meridian.
What?
The Celine month meridian spreadsheet.
What? I asked the question if you guys want to go through it now or not. Do you want to do it now?
Yeah, we can go through it.
You do want to go through it. Okay. So let's make a new topic here, Selenium calendars review. And so the month meridian sync calc. I don't know what this is, but we'll take a quick look. All right, this looks good. So we're going to 2020. Why? Okay. This is a little confusing. Oh, see how there's see how there's dates, right? 2019, 2019. See how there's a date that says 2019? Hello, is anyone there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
So can you make sure
Yes,
all of it says 2020? Like it needs to have the date for the year. Can you do that?
On the Celine or on the Gregorian?
On the Selenium month meridian sync calendar, I can try to share my screen here too if that helps, but I don't know if it's gonna work. It might.
You can share the screen. I don't know
It
exactly
might.
where you are.
It might slow everything down, but I can try. Okay, so 80 degrees from June to July. 83 degrees from July to August. And 140 degrees from August to September. All right, so I think this is actually correct. So August 19th is 140 degree. So if we go back here, the new moon is, so August 19th passed already, so we're in the 140 degree. There, so this is the new moon. Then today is the first quarter moon, August 25th. That's where we are now. So the full moon September 2nd and the new moon September 17th. So September 17th is the hard stop. All right. So September 2nd, soft stop. September 17th, hard stop.
It is correct, Jay.
I think it's good.
Yeah.
Cool. So you guys should have been able to confirm that instead of having me to confirm it all, but whatever. We confirmed it. It's all verified. Are there any questions about the dates for the deadlines?
No questions on this.
All right.
No question.
So that gives it about a month to finish, or about 3 weeks. We have 3 weeks before, we have 1 week before soft stop, we have 3 weeks before hard stop, and then we have an additional 2 weeks. That'll be 5 weeks before upfront pay stop. So for those who are new, if the work doesn't get done within 5 weeks, then no one gets paid anymore until the work gets done, which means that all the new recruits and the old workers are all the same. No one's getting paid. Right? Just because like the new workers don't get paid until the budget's approved. So if you don't do the work to actually do the budget updating for the new recruits, then everyone stops getting paid and everyone basically becomes a new recruit until the budget gets completed. All right, so here are the steps and priorities that need to get done. I linked the recruitment process doc here. And in here we have all the positions that we still need to hire for. All right, so this is the last chance for questions regarding the recruitment round, and then we're going to go into the current positions and the vacant positions and all the other proposals. So do we have the link to the rankings, or can we copy and paste the rankings from before? Copy and paste.
Okay.
So I'm assuming there's no more questions about the recruitment process, so it should all get done perfectly, correctly, and on time, ideally with daily communication to all of the potential recruits. Excellent. So let's go ahead and go through the current positions, make sure it's clear who's doing what. Unfortunately, we don't have correct rankings, but maybe we could just do a little estimation. So the people who may not be in the rankings would be Hanel, Zilu, Abdul. Actually, I think Abdul is in the rankings.
Zilu was in the ranking.
Zilu is in the
Abdul
rankings
was
as
in
well.
the ranking.
So
Zilu is
Pavan,
Hanel. Pavan, yeah.
and then we've got all of the new people, including Devian, and a bunch of other people who are in stage 4 that are just not being communicated with or prioritized. So there's Samso, can't remember his name, Shahid, Danier, I think that's everyone I see. All right. So is anyone copying and pasting the rankings from before, or are we not doing that, or what's going on?
I complete this one in a minute. I'm going to copy. Tracy, are you on the ranking? Or someone who can get the ranking first can just link for us. We had also the discussion on the ranking during the canopy session.
What was the session? Well, the canopy was the canopy rankings. What was it? What about the
we
session
had also
we
the
went through
canopy
ranking?
session. Yeah, we had also in the canopy session.
No, that was for canopy ranking, not the overall recruitment ranking. So when did we go through the recruitment ranking? Was that at the last steering committee 2 weeks ago? At the last quarter moon, or the fourth quarter moon?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. So can someone, let's just go up to the steering team. So right here it has quarter moons doc. So if I open up the quarter moons doc, it should take us to our notes and of 2 weeks ago, and then we can just snag it. So,
this ranking is different from global quadrant ranking, right?
No, this should be our quadrant ranking. So this is, I'm checking the 11th of August.
Yeah, those are the
it's in 48 moon. It's this one, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Can you link?
Or do I? There we go. I think they already linked it, or copied it.
Yeah.
I didn't link anything. Oh, someone copied. Okay, cool. Excellent. We have the information now.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute.
So also, just to remind you guys, I know you guys never do it, but just always going to remind you, for like the 100th time, to update the table of contents regularly. This would be part of the notes.
Okay.
As a note taker, you want to be keeping everything up to date. So we're going into the current positions. All right, so here we go. So Linkson is gone.
Tamisha. Yeah.
Abdul is not present and did not respond, right? Jessica not present, did not respond. Although we know Abdul is interested in the into the deputy position, but he's not doing it. So do we have any idea who the Jessica, what position she might be interested in? Vilu is Canopy. I'm doing the Centaur. All right, so that goes to you, Albina. So Albina, the first question to you is if you want to take on the position, whether you want to take on the steering the octant or the quadrant representative position.
I'm already representing the octant, the quadrant.
Well, no, we're doing it again. So we're going through this again. So you do want to take on the quadrant representative position?
Yes.
Okay. So and this is for East Pacific, right?
Yeah, Pacific.
All right, and then so with the new policy, you also have to take on an actual work role as opposed to just oversight.
Okay, finances and taxes coordinate.
So you actually want to do the finances and taxes?
Yes.
Amazing. All right, and so that's going to be a very different than what you've been doing now, which is kind of, you know, every once in a while you do a little on finance and taxes. Basically, you need to prioritize AGC. And again, it's not just the taxes, it's all of AGC. Okay?
Yes.
And also, it's important to note that the AGC coordinator position doesn't in and of itself do the work. It just is responsible for knowing all the work that needs to get done and coordinating, organizing it all to get done. All right, Teme Tope.
Okay, Canopy also in that? Is Canopy also part of it?
No, Canopy would be a sub-team and has its own budget and its own priorities. So AGC is separate from Canopy, but they're related.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is AGC?
AGC is accounting, governance, compliance. So it's all of our taxes, all of our finances, all of our equity distributions, everything that relates to our budgeting, payroll, all of it.
Okay.
Yeah. Teme Tope. Teme Tope?
Yes.
So the question is, do you want to represent the Eurafrica quadrant? And secondly, what position you want to take on?
I want to represent quadrant, and I'm still taking on the position of the ORC commissioner.
I didn't understand.
I'll still take the position of I'm taking taking the position of the quadrant representative, and I'm also taking the ORC commissioner.
Okay, ORC, cool. Outreach and Recruitment Commission. So I don't know how to get you to step up on that, but do step up and take on more of that roles and try to get other people to do the work because it's not happening. All right, Pressy.
I will take the position of the Australasia representative and discussion support.
Okay, cool. Gino.
Pass on Atlantic Quadrant representative and staffing.
Was that a no on the Atlantic?
Yeah, no
Okay.
no for
So,
Atlantic
staffing.
Quadrant representative, but
Oh, wait, but wait, do we have? But before we do that, we're just gonna pass over you then. So we're gonna go to the next person. So you do not get to
yes.
choose your position until the Atlantic representative chooses first. Okay.
Okay.
So that would go to Mamoon.
Yeah, I would like to be a representative on Atlantic.
Okay. So and then you'll take a position.
I will be on the staffing and recruitment.
No, you can't choose more than one. You can only choose one.
One, then recruitment.
Okay, but you'd have to work that out with Teme Tope because Teme Tope took on the recruitment already, the ORC.
Okay, then staffing would be good.
All right. So Mamoon's taking on the staffing. You're definitely going to want to communicate and work with Gino on that. And Gino, you can still work on the staffing. It's just that Mamoon would be the coordinator of the staffing. Do you understand?
What available positions will be there? Like the ones left for me, or the
Right.
ones that are left blank.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to the 80-degree recruitment process. All right. So we're adding Teme Tope to your Africa. The second deputy position is currently not clear because Abdul is not really doing anything. Asset management virtual assistant. So we're hiring multiple people for Canopy. Finances and taxes is Albina now. Accountability commissioner is Plasmo. That's vacant. Staffing is now Mamoon. Session support is now Pressy. And then the Pandemic Network. So there are three options. There's Canopy, Plasmo, or Pandemic, as far as I can tell. And there's also Deputy. All right, so let's note that down here. So going back to our notes. This is the old one. We don't need that.
I'll go with accountability commissioner for Plasma.
Okay, and that is related to staffing. Cool. All right, and so let's just go ahead and list our open positions. Open positions so far, we've got second deputy, Canopy, and Pandemic. All right, so that brings us to Hanel.
Yes.
So you just want to confirm that you're doing the primary deputy position. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, primary deputy. And eventually we'll get you into the rankings, hopefully sooner than later.
I was going to ask what should I do to be included. So
well, you just have to be evaluated, and you need to get there's going to be the elections, so you shouldn't have to do anything, but if no one else does it, then you got to step up and make sure it happens. So hopefully somebody will do it. And technically speaking, Teme Tope is responsible for making sure it happens, but he's not really doing much to follow through on it. All right, so Pavan is doing Canopy. Shahid might be the second deputy position. I just don't know. And then Danae, we don't know. She's not communicated, and we don't have that updated. So for Jessica, the proposal would be to make Jessica inactive. Proposal, make Jessica inactive. And then for Abdul, we could propose Abdul to be inactive because he's not doing the deputy position, but maybe we give him one more chance if no one else wants to fill it. But if someone else fills it, then we would go ahead and change that. So are there any questions about the proposal to inactivate Jessica? So we're making her inactive because she did not choose a position and did not communicate. Are there about it, right? About position. Are there any questions? Are there any concerns?
None on my side.
She hasn't really been doing any work either. Are there any objections?
None.
So I think we have consensus on that. All right, so the open positions we still need to hire for are the second deputy, the canopy, and the pandemic, although we could probably live without the pandemic. Let's double check to make sure there's nothing that we missed. Accountability commissioners, this is going to be Gino.
Pandemic network.
Yeah, it's just the pandemic network, canopy, and then the second deputy position. Cool, so we're getting really close to finishing up with the recruitment. I think that actually having people focus on work priorities instead of just oversight helps significantly. And then also we can get people focused on actually doing the work. And just to remind everybody, for example, Zilu has committed to, at least a few hours, like 2 to 5 hours a week on taxes. So Albina, you would want to be coordinating people who are working on taxes because it's not just you working on taxes. There's a whole team of people working on taxes. So just because you're overseeing a team doesn't mean that you're not also working on other teams, and then that goes in your commitment, and we'll organize our commitments based on each individual. I don't think we need to go through that today, but in the future we'll go through everyone's commitment to have clarity on what you're committed to and what you're doing. Awesome. All right. So are there any last questions on the recruitment and the current positions?
Okay,
No.
going forward, how do we do outreach for these open positions that are left?
Every single position has its own job post.
Okay.
So there's one other position that we're working on creating, which is the Canopy Deputy Coordinator.
It's 1:45.
Coordinator position, which is going to be like the number 2. So we still need to hire more Canopy workers in general, which we're looking at 3 additional people. And then on top of that, we're going to hire a Canopy Deputy Coordinator who would be like the number 2 position in Canopy, which is going to be extremely important, right? So that is a separate thing, though. I think that can just be dealt with within Canopy, and we'll just keep trying to get that. So we have 4 positions currently open that we want to fill, and then I think the other one is just like a general worker. So we always could choose to do a general worker, and then we also can choose to do a co-chair, co-chair/chair. if we wanted to hire someone as a chairperson or co-chair. So that's another option that we could do. So these are basically optional if we did choose to go into co-chair, chair roles, or hire just a general worker. We can certainly do that if we wanted to. And this is technically a general canopy worker. All right, so I think we are done. We could do the status update, or we could just go ahead and check out, wrap up and check out.
You can spend like 10 minutes to do that.
So there's interest on both directions. So I mean, we've gone what 2.5 hours now. So let's see. Let's do a little view up. So option 1 is to do the status update, and option 2 would be to wrap up and check out. Before I forget, also I want to note on our responsibilities, like everyone needs to do position doc. So updating their position doc, updating position doc, and or creating their position doc. So if you have everyone should have a position now, including we also have the position for the quadrant representative, right? Which also needs to be organized. Okay, so let's just go through everyone. So Albina, you said you wanted to do the status update? I think I would go more towards checking, wrapping up and checking out myself. Mamoon, Hanau,
Yeah, pick up.
Pressy, Temitope. Mamoon, you're saying you want to check out?
Check out. Let's check out.
Okay.
Wrap up and check out.
All right, so it looks like most people want to wrap up and check out. So let's save the status update for later. Maybe it's something that we could even do during a scheduled session or session support or activity session or whatever. All right. So our priority work is working on our glossaries, our policies for buddy team, link scheduling spreadsheet. I think that already got done. Copy and paste decisions onto the decision channel in Discord. Super important. You said you already did that? Let's take a look.
Yes. I copy and paste all the decisions on the. And I want to know if the last proposal for Jessica should be included on the decisions channel.
What should be? Oh, the last one for Jessica should definitely be included. Also, all of the positions are technically a decision as well. So, are there any objections with all of the positions that we just hired?
Not really.
So the proposal is to approve everyone in their selected position. All right, so that's the idea of that, is that all our positions are accountable to the teams, right? So if we don't feel like someone's doing a good job, we can always fire them and hire someone else or whatever, but basically we're all in agreement on the positions. So there's no objections, questions, concerns, objections. So I think we have consensus on that. So that would be all the positions. So we can list the positions. Eventually we want to put it on our website and we already have everyone's pictures. So anyone who we didn't get their pictures for, we should get their pictures. And we've been doing black and white pictures, so that should be good. So we have consensus on our positions. And obviously we're going to be reviewing, going through the positions, redoing all of the evaluations, redoing the rankings and the elections. All that needs to be redone as part of finishing our recruitment round. All right. Add the new POP criteria to the POP review. Updating positions. Everyone needs to update and create their position docs so that they can be reviewed. And the position docs are part of the management. So the management comes in at the seasonal session. So we should go through, everyone should have a drafted position doc or updated position doc for the seasonal session where we'll be going through the manager positions. All right. Any other questions? When's our next session? You can check the in-between calendar real quick.
So, Jay, a question. The position, the coordinator position, same as manager position, right?
Yes, coordinators coordinate multiple managers.
Oh, okay.
So coordinators are technically higher than managers. All right, so here we're at first quarter moon. Tomorrow we have the Canopy Green team.
And lunar node.
And then it looks like, oh yeah, we have lunar node and global pandemic session. So that's taxes, budget, very important. So that's AGC. So it should just say lunar node AGC. I don't think it says AGC there. Global pandemic network session. Then we have a plasma session on Friday. So this one is for you, Gino.
Okay.
Hopefully that works with your schedule. And then we have our second 8th moon. Actually, this is the 4th 8th moon. So we need to fix that. And this is the staffing session. So this is for you, Mamoon. Do you understand, Mamoon? I guess not. All right. So, and Gino, you can still work on staffing and support Mamoon. And just, I mean, there's no guarantee Mamoon's going to do anything, you know? So it's just like, if you want to work on both plasma and staffing, it's fine. But Mamoon is the coordinator for the staffing. All right. Let's see here. And then next week, we don't have anything scheduled, which is weird. It seems like there should be at least a full moon. So it looks like we need to update the calendar. Cool. All right. So those are our next upcoming sessions. Are there any other questions or anything before we go ahead and check out?
One question with the position doc. What should be the things inside the position doc besides the description of the position? And,
well, it would be like the responsibilities, you know, the goals, the other people who are involved, you know, what your priorities are, etc.
We can schedule with you. I can help you. We have examples of the position docs we have, so we can schedule with you and provide.
Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. All right. Let's check out. So I guess I'll go first. I would give this session a 6. We got through a lot. We got more organized. It definitely helps me feel better knowing that our positions are a little bit more clear. People have a better idea of what they're supposed to be accomplishing and working on. Also, I'm, concerned about the budget, but I'm also happy for Jeanette and Patrick that we approved the smaller amount to help them out with. I feel like overall it's, if they don't send us clear documentation on everything, that we will not be approving it anyway. So they still need to send us clear documentation that clarifies our ownership in the company before we send them any more money. But other than that, I think we that looks good, and hopefully it helps them move forward. I will be working on all these different meetings coming up as much as I can. Obviously, Canopy, executive work, recruitment, and finances. I also want to help with the taxes. But I also just need to be able to just get my own life organized, and it's just still kind of chaotic for me, and I'm still not really able to schedule very well. But just keep checking in when you have a check-in schedule. Just check in for scheduling, and or give a reminder, and I'll just do my best to keep working. I'm still working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. It's just day to day. Check. Tell me, Tope.
I give the session 6.5. We are very much on the track to being more organized, and it just kind of tallies with my thoughts in the past week, which was like, why do we have to recruit so much people from outside when we have equally much competent hands in the team that will actually step up and take up positions? And I'm very happy with the way things have gone. Very happy because those positions are well, people handling those positions are well equipped. So going forward, I'm going to work with the team now that I understand the basic priorities and the recruitment. See how we move forward in order to avoid all the hard stuff and soft stuff and the rest, the upfront stuff. And also, I'll be scheduling on PA sessions, generally because I just feel there is much to be done in order for us to move on to the canopy, so as to assist each way I can, so we can get on with canopy. And generally, I'll also be helping out with the new recruits for that kind of not or some past few days now. See how we can bring them up to speed with what is happening in FQN check.
Cool. Mamoon, are you there? Mamoon?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, check out.
Hello?
We're going to check out.
Yeah. I would give the session 6.5, and it's very productive session, and we have got the positions, and I would like to work on VA training, also recruitment, and pandemic network, also coordinating with Geno for staffing, and let's see, we can schedule more and more this week, and we will try to avoid hard stop on recruitment. So that will be good for all of us. So check.
Cool. Before I forget, I just want to mention that we can hire more people into the positions once we have each position at least one person, and then we could consider whether we want to add more. Except for Canopy, which obviously we need more. So in relationship to Pressy, I think you said you were going to do the voting form. If you could take the series voting form and then just update it for the quarter moon and add in all the proposals in addition to the ones from before, and then we'll send that out as soon as possible, okay? All right, Hanel, you're next to check out. Hello? Hello?
It's 2 o'clock.
Can you say that again?
I will give the session a 5. There are some things that I don't understand still, but I'm working on it. I will be working on BA sessions and tracking on my responsibilities and priorities.
All right. So, next is Albina.
Hello?
Yeah?
Yeah.
moment.
I give the session 6. I'll be working on scheduling, recruitment. Hello? Hello? Can someone hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear you as well.
Okay, I give the session 6. I'll be working on giving scheduling, recruitment, ACD coordinator position doc, and we'll update the POP criteria. I'll add some information on the POP criteria position. Also, do the policy, the decision doc. Thanks.
Okay. Gina.
Okay, so I'll give the session a 6.5. It's a good session. I'll be working on the Plasmo coordinator position doc in a few hours, and hopefully I would be able to check in for my supposed canopy schedule. According to Zido, he won't be able to make it on the Andromeda to backup. Hopefully I can check in. Also, I would check in a later time for JLN support. That's all. Check.
All right. Pressy.
Okay, I will give the session 6. It's really good. And can someone, can you?
Okay.
It's really informative, and I'm happy that we have some clear positions. So you can focus on it and have an output. And also, I will be working on Google Calendar updates, coordinator doc, position doc, voting form, and hoping to work more on VAC procedure.
Did you mean the session support or? All right. Anyways, and then also, Pressy, can you be sure to update the series voting form and make it the quarter moon and add all the proposals for quarter moon? Can you do that?
Okay.
Pressy, can you do that, please?
Yes, I will add all the proposals from this session to the series voting form.
All right, cool. All right, so I think we're done.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard you. So I think we're done. We just need to do the value tracking, and that's it. So I think we're all done. Good work, everyone.
Pressy can help me. I mean, assist me with valid tracking. Participation level. Only 2 people, right? Because I only took 2 positions. Right? Also, I've heard Albina has extra points from doing the tasks a while ago.
So I think we did 3 hours, right?
Yes.
We did.
For Hannah, only one participation point?
No, it,
Two participate.
she did participate. Let's try it.
It's 4 a.m.
Okay, you're done.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you.